1 in a certain place testified, saying, What is man that thou art mindful of him? Or the son of man that thou visitest him? Thou made him a little lower than the angels. In the Psalm, it actually says a little lower than Elohim. And you crowned him with glory and honor, and did set him over the works of your hands. Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet. Remember, we just read this in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. I told you we're going to see some of this a little bit later. The Almighty hath put all things under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him. See, I mean, Shaul's almost saying the same thing again here. We're not seeing everything put under him. We are not seeing Yeshua reign as the Messiah, okay? Just talking with Nehemiah about this today. All these people that want Nehemiah to be a believer, a follower of Yeshua, and believe that he's the Messiah. That's what they want. Just believe that he's the Messiah. And it's like some kind of magical thing. Just all you have to do is just believe he's the Messiah. And so it's like he now qualifies. Okay, here's the deal. Yeshua said, do not follow the Takanot and the Maasim of the Pharisees. This is like his last address. He nails this so fervently and illustrates it so impactfully that he storms off the Temple Mount, and the Pharisees, even though just a couple days before said, we're not going to take them during Passover, it's going to cause a riot. We're not going to do it. But when Yeshua walks off the Temple Mount, after calling them whitewashed sepulchre, you cross land and sea to make one convert and turn them twofold more into the son of hell than yourselves. When he said that, they changed their mind, because in 2 days he's dead. All right? Now, Yeshua starts the whole thing out and said, do not follow the Takanot and Maasim of the Pharisees. Let me give you a hot newsflash. Nehemiah deliberately and purposely lives his life to not follow the Takanot and Maasim of the Pharisees. In fact, he is persecuted and has been persecuted by his family and his Jewish brothers because he deliberately does not follow the Takanot and Maasim of the Pharisees. And yet, those who call themselves Messianic Jews and want Nehemiah to say, oh, I believe Jesus is Messiah, they deliberately follow the Takanot Maasim of the Pharisees. They say, oh, we just want to have unity with Judah, or we believe that they really do sit in the seat of Moses and that we're supposed to obey everything they tell us to do. We're supposed to put on our right shoe first, but we're not supposed to tie it. We're supposed to put on our left shoe, then tie it, and then go back and tie our right shoe. Then we're not supposed to walk bare faces without our head covered. We believe that what they're telling us that we're supposed to obey, we're following the Takanot Maasim of the Pharisees. Ladies and gentlemen, who's actually doing the will of the Father? Nehemiah, or those who say they choose Messiah, but they don't do what he says to do? There's going to be a rude awakening on Judgment Day. And that's spelled R-U-D-E, a rude awakening. I'm trying to wake up people now so that they don't have the ultimate rude awakening, because when Yeshua says, get out of my face, I don't know you, you've disobeyed the Torah, there's no recourse. But we see Yeshua, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man. This, you want a definition for grace? Here it is. That he, by the grace of God, could taste death for every man. That is grace. That Yeshua could pay the death penalty in our place. What incredible grace is that? I mean, that is a grace that is beyond description. That's a grace that is beyond the comprehension of the rabbis. That we, who deserve the death penalty, do not have to die.
We broke
that
this.
one who has never broken the Torah,
At the golden
but
calf.
broke all the rules and regulations of rabbis,
He never did that.
he could die in our place.
By his own choice.
And then he could renew the covenant
And then
that
renew
we
and
broke
renew it.
because he's paid the death penalty.
What covenant are you trying to
That
get grafted
is-
into? Grace.
Matchless grace.
Oh, thank you.
That is fathomless grace. This is grace that is greater than all our sin. This is the provision of the Almighty that we can only see a glimpse of in the Torah. We can only see a glimpse of it in the sacrifices that were done, knowing that these sacrifices that were done at each and every feast, every time that it was done, we know it didn't complete it because the next time we come to the feast, we're going to do it again. Next Yom Kippur, we're going to do it again. We're going to take another goat and we're going to throw it off the cliff again and again and again and again. We see it over and over and over and over, and we don't quite understand it, but we know that that goat doesn't do the job. But yet, this is what we're told to do. What is it? Is it a sick joke by the Almighty to oh, you almost did it, but no. No. It was actually the demonstration of the powerful, awesome, inconceivable grace of the Most High, that when we had entered into a blood covenant, that whoever breaks the covenant dies, and when we broke the covenant, that the Almighty
This one. Try to
then
get back to that. Let's
made
get
a
back.
way
Easy peasy. Easy peasy.
that someone else could pay. And the covenant could be renewed with us. And we could be brought back into fellowship
And
with
if
the
you
Most
mess it
High,
up,
that
you
we
go
could
to
be
Jesus
reconciled
for
with Him.
forgiveness and repentance.
Not through our own works.
Not a
It's through what
sacrifice.
Yeshua did. And once that reconciliation was
priesthood.
accomplished, then that grace continues to work. Because grace teaches us that denying ungodliness
Yeah.
and
Onomia.
all of the works of the flesh, that we should live a holy, righteous, and a godly life in the middle of the sick, twisted, and perverse world in which we live. The picture of grace is there.
Listen to that. Here's your definition of grace. The God-given power to live in a sick, twisted world, to get through this sick, twisted world. Check this out.
Ungodliness and all of the works of the flesh, that we should live a holy, righteous, and a godly life in the middle of the sick, twisted, and perverse world in which we live. The picture of grace is there throughout all time. And now we see that the grace of God manifests through Yeshua's life, through his death, and his resurrection. That is the Most High that put it all in place. For it became him. In verse 10, where we close. For whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For it became him, the Almighty, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons to glory, and that's what he did, to bring his sons into a right relationship so that they could come into his kavod, into his glory. And that is what he did. He made the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. He completed the work of the Messiah through what he suffered to pay the price so that we could have the wholeness. And it is by his grace that that is happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close right now in Hebrews chapter 2, verse 10, because all